So I can go ahead and hand these envelopes to them?
No. We're going to do it right up here. We want to see their reaction when they get them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll just call me and them when you're ready?
Yeah, I got their names right
Okay.
here.
All right.
Is that time to start, or is that a warning sign? Was that a warning, or is it time to start? It's time to start. All righty, they tell me the rule is that when that bell rings, we're supposed to start. And if that's our contract, I like to go by contracts.
We're supposed to stop when the bell rings, too.
I'll probably do that. And what time does that next bell ring? 11 o'clock. Okay. The one this afternoon is the one you don't want to miss. This one's pretty good. That other one's a little extra, more exciting. We're going to, you got those. You got somebody to hand those out when we get ready? We're not ready, but just pick out somebody. I'll tell you when to do it. Don't hand them out yet. Don't hand them out yet. There you go. What we're going to discuss, I've got a tract that Jesus wrote, and they printed it here on the copying machine, on how to be peacemakers. Blessed are the peacemakers. When there is unusual conflict in a church, I can tell you what's going on. Don't have to visit. I don't have to know if it's in the north or south or Europe or Africa or anywhere else. You know what's going on in a church with conflict? Gossip. How do I know? The Bible tells me so. Proverbs 26:20. Where there is no wood, the fire goes out. Where there's no talebearer, contention ceases. That's it. That's it. Dave Ramsey has an agreement with his employees. We don't tolerate gossip at Ramsey Solutions. There's a warning, and then you're gone. He said it will destroy a business, and I'm not about to let something like that destroy a business. Now, let me tell you how I used to deal with that. I'm going to tell you, and then we're going to have an illustration, another story, another video. What I used to do when I found out there was contention and all kind of going back and forth and gossip, I'd tell them to stop it. If you don't, you're going to hell. I'll give you a book, chapter, and verse for that. We're going to try to look at a better way to do that. Not that either one of those statements are untrue. So let's play the video.
Dr. Switzer?
Yes, come in. I'm just washing my hands.
I'm Catherine Bigman. Janet Carlisle referred me.
Oh, yes. Still being buried alive in a box.
Yes. Yes, that's me. Should I lay down?
Oh, no, we don't do that anymore. Just have a seat. And let me tell you a bit about our billing. I charge $5 for the first 5 minutes, and then absolutely nothing after that. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Too good to be true, as a matter of fact.
Well, I can almost guarantee you that our session won't last the full 5 minutes. Now, we don't do any insurance billing, so you would either have to pay in cash or by check.
Wow, okay.
And I don't make change.
All right.
And go.
Go.
Well, tell
What?
me about the problem that you wish to address.
Oh, okay. Well, I have this fear of being buried alive in a box. I start thinking about being buried alive and I begin to panic.
Has anyone ever tried to bury you alive in a box?
No, but truly thinking about it does make my life horrible. I mean, I can't go through tunnels or be in an elevator or in a house, anything boxy.
So what you're saying is you're claustrophobic.
Yes, that's it.
All right, well, let's go, Catherine. I'm going to say 2 words to you right now. I want you to listen to them very, very carefully. Then I want you to take them out of the office with you and incorporate them into your life.
Well, shall I write them down?
Well, if it makes you comfortable, it's just 2 words. We find most people can remember them.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, here they are.
Stop it!
I'm sorry?
Stop it!
Stop it?
Yes, S-T-O-P, new word, I-T.
So, what are you saying?
You know, it's funny. I say 2 simple words, and I cannot tell you the amount of people who say exactly the same thing you're saying. I mean, this is not Yiddish, Catherine. This is English.
Stop it.
So, I should just stop it.
There you go. I mean, you don't want to go through life being scared of being buried alive in a box, do you? I mean, that sounds frightening.
It is.
Then stop it.
I can't. I mean, it's been with me since childhood.
No, we don't go there. Just stop it.
So, I should just stop being afraid of being buried alive in a box.
You got it. Good go. Well, it's only been 3 minutes, so that will be $3.
Actually, I only have a 5, so
Well, I don't make change.
then I guess I'll take the full 5 minutes.
Fine. All right. Well, what other problems would you like to address?
I'm bulimic. I stick my fingers down my throat.
Stop it.
Nut of some kind? Don't do that.
But I'm compelled to. My mom used to call me fatty.
No, we don't go there.
But I've been having this dream.
No, we don't go there either.
But my horoscope did say...
We definitely don't go there.
Just stop it.
What else?
Well, I have self-destructive relationships with men.
Stop it.
You want to be with a man, don't you?
Yes.
Well, then stop it. Don't be such a big baby.
I wash my hands a lot.
That's all right.
It is?
I wash my hands all the time. There's a lot of germs out there. Yeah, don't worry about that one.
I'm afraid to drive.
Well, stop it.
How are you going to get around? Get in the car and drive, you kook.
Stop it.
Stop it! You stop it!
What's the problem, Catherine?
don't like this. I don't like this therapy at all. You're just telling me to stop it.
And you don't like that.
No, I don't.
So you think we're moving too fast, is that it?
Yes. Yes, I do.
All right, then let me give you 10 words that I think will clear everything up for you. You want to get a pad and a pencil for this one?
All right.
Are you ready? Mm-hmm. All right, here are the 10 words.
Stop it or I'll bury you alive in a box.
All righty, you know how to solve it now. We need to do more than just tell people to stop it. We need to look into the dynamics of what's going on. Let me tell you my solution, the best I've found. If you want to stop gossip, which will stop conflict, where there's no wood, fire goes out. Where there's no talebearer, contention ceases. That's it. And I think rather than working on the gossipers, we look at another issue that'll stop it. There are 2 or 3 places I would be glad to contribute some additional information in the Bible. One, in 1 Timothy 3, looking at the qualifications of an elder. If Jerry Barber had an input on that, I would say every man ought to be considered one time for an elder and be turned down. And if he throws a fit, we know we didn't need him to start with. That sounds like a good idea. But now this one, I would like to have Proverbs 26:20b. And that is where there is no oxygen, you can't have a fire. You can get 2 pickup loads of dry hickory and oak and seal it in an airtight container and suck all the oxygen out. There's not a way in the world you can get a fire going. What is the oxygen of gossip? Anybody have an idea?
People.
Huh?
People.
Miscommunication.
Listening, 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 listening. Where there's no listener, you know, it's like the question, if a tree falls in the forest, nobody's there to hear it, does it make any noise? Doesn't make any difference. You're not going to hear it, not going to do it, and it's not going to fall on anybody. I don't have a master's or PhD, never written a thesis, and never done any scientific studies. But my guess is any congregation who would have 6 people in the congregation committed to not listening to gossip, you can wipe it out. My son is one of the best people to follow Proverbs 26:20 that I know. And he got it from pain during his childhood when his daddy is a little more ignorant than he is now. You know, sometimes children don't always act the way folks like for them to act, especially preachers' kids. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. But Jerry Wayne would do something, and they'd come and tell on him, and I'd get him straightened out. And it hurt his feelings. And it made him angry. He said, Daddy, I'm 6'4", been a Christian 4 years, and they come and tell on me, and I'm their brother in Christ. And so on the job, he went from salesman to sales manager to now he is a district manager with a AmeriPro roofing company. And they'll come and start talking about his boss or somebody else, and he'll say, you're talking to the wrong person. You're delivering mail to the wrong address. What did he say when you talked to him about that? I'll be glad if you've already talked to him once. I'll be the 2nd or 3rd person if you'll bring him, but I'm not going to listen to that. And so if you have people who don't gossip, see, a lot of people don't gossip, but they feel very justified because they don't gossip, but they listen to it, and they know what's going on. And so what do? What did they say when you talked to them about that? He does it at church. That deacon over there, you know what he did? And I don't think he should have done it. What did he say when you talked to him? He's standing right over there. Oh, you hadn't talked to him. Then I can't listen. It's against the law. It's against the law. Do you keep your South Central Bell? Probably don't even mail them out anymore. This is from March of 1977. Think about the history of this. Remember obscene phone calls? Some of you are old enough. We hadn't had those in a long time. But they wrote in that issue how to stop obscene phone calls. Here's what it says. It can happen anytime in mid-afternoon, late at night, even at the dinner table. You pick up your ringing phone only to be verbally assaulted by a torrent of disgusting obscenities. And the sick mind that placed the call succeeds in sickening you. Happily, there's something you can do about obscene phone calls, something that will turn off a sick mind faster than anything else. Simply hang up. It takes two to make a successful obscene call, a caller and a listener. In effect, by hanging up, you immediately neutralize the obscene caller. Law enforcement agencies, together with South Central Bell, are making these risky times for obscene callers. They risk not only their reputations, but a fine and jail sentence as well. Someday, listen to prophecy here, someday obscene phone calls may be entirely eliminated. But until the time comes, the best way to deal with the obscene caller's hang-up is to hang up. That's the way you stop it. That's the way you stop gossip. How serious is it? Ann Landers or Dear Abby. Listen to this. This is powerful. Dear Abby, when I was growing up, my mother and the other ladies in our church were extremely polite to each other. However, when one of them wasn't present, the others would talk behind her back. They would compliment a woman to her face and then criticize her as soon as she walked away. Mother always defended this behavior as harmless pastime. I don't know whether it hurt people who were the butt of the gossip, but I know it harmed me and the children who were listening. Their behavior taught me not to trust anyone, especially people who were nice to my face. Instead, I trusted abusive people because I thought they were being honest. I ended up running with a bad crowd and found myself dating abusive men because I couldn't trust polite guys. When someone complimented me, I didn't believe it, so I never developed self-confidence. I was afraid people were laughing at me behind my back. I had trouble making friends with other girls because I was afraid to open up and reveal my feelings for fear that whatever I said would become grist for the gossip mill. After a year of therapy, I finally found the self-confidence I lacked. My sisters haven't been so lucky. Both are married to abusive men. Abby, please inform your readers that there's nothing harmless about gossip, especially to children who may overhear it. Okay. Let's hand out the tracts. Let's see what Jesus says about making peace. Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Matthew 5:9. The first church conflict workshop I attended was in the spring of 1995. Didn't learn very much. Those of you who weren't here Friday night probably don't know our rules. Our rules is try not to learn very much, and that'll be easy with me talking. But try to get a mustard seed. Here was my mustard seed from that workshop. The man who was teaching the class said he went to Africa. There were some churches over there having a lot of conflict, and said there was an old man that sat outside the tent day after day after day after day. And he said he had listened for several days, and finally he said, let me tell you what I've been thinking. Been hearing him talk about how y'all deal with conflict over in America. And he said, you know, here's what I think the difference is. He said, see that big field of weeds out there? He said if we wanted to plant something here, we'd want to get rid of the weeds, and we'd just start pulling up the weeds. He said, it sounds like what y'all do in America. You just bring in a lot of dirt and put on top of it. He didn't say, blessed are the peacekeepers. He said, blessed are the peacemakers. Guess what? It is painful to deal with conflict. It's easier to talk about people than it is to talk to people. Let's see what Jesus advises. Matthew 5, 23 to 25. Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go your way. First, be reconciled to your brother and then come and offer your gift. Agree with your adversary quickly while you're in the way with him, lest your adversary deliver you to the judge hand you over to the officer, and you be thrown into prison. Here's what Jesus said. That was Old Testament, bring your gift to the altar. We'd say if you come to church on Sunday morning and take the Lord's Supper, and you sit down, and you get to thinking, there's a brother over here. I know he thinks I've done him wrong. He has something against me. I don't think I really meant to do that, or I didn't do it, but I know he thinks it. Or maybe somebody told him I did, but I didn't. But he's not feeling good about me. So what you do, you get your brother and you leave and be reconciled to your brother. And then if you get through in time before they serve it, you can take the Lord's Supper. But there's something more important than worship, according to Matthew 5. If you get to the services and you know somebody has something against you, and I'd mentioned this earlier in the week, did you know that's why we have the Lord's Supper on Sunday night? For everybody that needed to take somebody outside before the Lord's Supper and get reconciled, and then you can do that and come back Sunday night and take the Lord's Supper. Isn't that why we have it? He said that's what we need to do. Let me tell you the best illustration I've ever heard. A good friend was a youth minister years ago. And he told the story. He said he was teaching a Bible class one Sunday morning. It was one of those things that gets about that far out of your mouth and you wish you could get it back and you can't. He said something that was very offensive to a particular sister in that class. And she got up and left weeping. And he said, I messed up, I shouldn't have said what I said. And as soon as he got through, he went to a brother and said, okay, you're going to be leading singing. I'm not going to be here to lead singing today. And he got somebody else to go with him and went and knocked. And the lady, she said, I don't want to talk to you. She's still just distraught. He said, please, I messed up. I'm sorry. I've come to apologize. I should never have said what I said. She said, I don't want to talk to you. And he begged and he begged. And finally, she let him in. And he apologized and apologized and apologized. And she accepted his apology and forgave him. And they went to services. That's the way it works. Jesus said, if you want to have peace, you know somebody has something against you, go see them. See if you can solve it. Well, I wish people would do that. I've got people sinned against me and nobody's coming to see me. Hey, that's the reason we've got Matthew 18, verses 15, 16, and 17. Matthew 18, 15. Now this time, the brother has sinned against you. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he hears you, you have gained your brother. Well, okay, I'm waiting for him when he comes. No. See, you got a double deal here. Everybody has the responsibility. Ideally, if you have somebody that lives 5 miles this way and somebody 5 miles that way, they recognize it, and so the one who has realized that he has something against him comes, and they meet right here and settle it. But guess what? Folks don't always do the right thing at the right time and the right way, and so you've got a double responsibility there. If somebody has something against you, go address it. If you have something against somebody else, go address it. Notice he says, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. Question, how many people are in this meeting? 2, that's it. You can't obey Matthew 18:15 by having a fit in the foyer. There's too many people standing around. You get them a loan. A loan. That's where you start out. That applies to men, women, boys and girls, preachers and anybody else. It took me 50 years, but after 50 years of preaching, I went to a church, and part of my contract was not how many weeks can I have for gospel meetings and how much you're going to pay me, but here's what it says. All criticism of Jerry Barber goes directly to Jerry Barber, and he will welcome it. Whoopee, whoopee, whoopee. Jerry Barber does not accept anonymous criticism. That is wonderful. Now, here's an observation I make when I teach on contracts. You know why you write contracts? Back in my daddy's day, we didn't have to do that. Man's word was his bond. If I work for your daddy, I'm tickled. Contracts are not to make dishonest people honest. It's for honest people who forget. You make several agreements, and 20 minutes later, what are you going to remember? 2 years, 8 years later. And I had more time. If you'll listen to my podcast, we'll hand out cards on that. I have some podcasts on that. How I learned that lesson from the University of Hard Knocks, whose colors are black and blue, and the school yell is ouch. Here's the rule. The only people who do not need to write down their agreements are people who are never going to forget anything and never going to die. And they need to be working with people who will never forget any detail and never die. Otherwise, you better write it down. Back it up, put it in Dropbox, put it in the cloud. Three hard drives, rotate them, and one's off-site at all times. It's to help us remember. After I'd been at that congregation a few months, one of the elders said, Jerry, we've had a complaint or two I need to talk to. I was, who are they? Well, I can't tell you. That's confidential. I can't listen to it. My contract, he said, I forgot all about that. See, that's the reason you write it down. That happened one other time, and then that same elder came to me. He said, you know, Bill and I have been talking about that, and we kind of like that. That takes a lot of load off us if we don't have to bring you the news. Yeah. That's not your job description. You don't tell on the preacher or anybody else. See, that's what gossip is. Gossip is talking about people when you should be talking to people. I don't think that every time we say something about someone else is necessarily gossip. Gossip is talking to people who can't do anything about it. I've talked with people sometimes for weeks at a time who need to talk to their mother or daddy or boss or child or somebody else, and they're scared, and so we will practice and practice. What I'm not going to do is carry their message to somebody else. They need to do it. I'll help them, I'll encourage them, I'll coach them, but that's the way you do it. So there are two people. Okay, so what that means is no telephone calls, no letters, no emails, and no text. Go and talk to that person alone. Okay, that didn't work. What do you do now? Matthew 18:16, but if he will not hear, take with you one or two more, that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. So you tried it, and it didn't work. So take with you 1 or 2 more. Several reasons to do that. One, I have found as an observer, when I'm not talking, I'm not as emotionally involved. I'm not scared to death. I'm not trying to figure out what I got to say next. So I'm just listening. And sometimes I can say, do you hear what he said? Say that again. Say that again. Now listen. Repeat back to it. I've conducted sessions where for us to make progress, the person says something, the other person repeats back what they heard them say, and once they get it right, They can go to the next step. You go back and forth. You know what I do a lot of times when I'm talking to people? While they're talking, I'm coming up with my answer. I can prove they're wrong if you'll just hush. I wish you wouldn't even talk. Just let me tell you to stop it, and that'd solve the whole problem. Yeah, but that's not going to get the thing worked out. Well, this elder got so excited, he came back and said, we've been talking, and said, when we hire a new preacher, we think that's something good to have in his contract, and we've talked about this. How about if we also put in his contract, make him sign it, that if anybody comes and talks derogatory about the elders, that he will not listen to that, but will send them to the elders. They're right over there. They meet on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock and just don't listen to it. I said, man, that is wonderful. And then if you could get that agreement with everybody in the whole church, you'd be doing exactly what Jesus said in Matthew 18, 15, 16, 17. Wouldn't that be great? There is a church in Nashville, hadn't got the right name on the wall, but there is a church in Nashville, among other expectations. They have people who come to them either by baptism or by transferring membership from another group, that they will sign a contract as long as you're a member of the church, you will not gossip. Whoopee, whoopee, whoopee. Here's the way I found, here's the way I have practiced it. I try to learn not much, but a little bit all the time. Somebody offends me, I go talk to them, didn't work, and so I pick out a couple of my buddies and I tell them how dirty I've been treated, and let's go over there and get him straightened out. That's one way to do it. Another way that I found seems to work a little better, and this is from an actual situation. I said, you know, we've been dealing with this issue for 6 months, and I can't tell we're making any progress. And it probably is my fault. I've explained it the best way I know how. I think I've been patient, but, you know, I'm willing to be corrected. I want you to pick out somebody from this church that you love and respect and that I agree to, and I'll pick out someone that I love and respect, and you agree it would be all right for them to be in the meeting. And let's invite them to come. And I suggest let's not tell our story until we get together. Just say, we've been having some, we need some help with our relationship. Would you please meet with us? And somehow that seems to work better than me getting a couple of my friends and go beat them up and try to get them to repent next time we have an invitation song. So take with you one or two more. Take with you one or two more. And what if that doesn't work? Matthew 18, 17. But if he refuses to hear them, tell it to the church. But if he refuses even to hear the church, let him be to you like a heathen and a tax collector. Wow. Have you ever been to a church where that was practiced? Let me tell you the best application of that I've ever seen in my life. I preached in Dalton, Georgia, 11 years. It was a New Year's Day, and why I was in office, I don't know, but I was. And here comes two people, different families. I'd done premarital counseling, performed the wedding for both of them, and they come in and they are just weeping. They had caught their mates with each other in not too good a situation. I called the elders after I talked with them. We had breakfast the next morning and we started working every day. We talked to the people involved, we talked to their families. Every day we'd touch base. One of the blessings we had there was James Jones. He was a counselor from the Atlanta area. He came up and did counseling out of our building every Monday. One of the privileges is we had a standing appointment with James every first and third Monday at 7 o'clock, and the elders and preachers, we just met, talk about anything we wanted to. We set up our rules. Here's the way we're going to talk in this group. So we set up our rules and we would talk. And so after about a month, the elders just told James, said, James, we've got a real tough situation. It's sad. And he told the situation, we got 2 people here who are running around with the wrong person. And Sunday, we're going to read their names and tell the church, unless they repent in 2 weeks, we're going to withdraw fellowship from them. James was a very low-spoken kind of fellow. Well, you could do that. Probably split the church, but you can do that if you want to. Well, what are you, a liberal or something? Don't you believe what Jesus said in Matthew 18, verses 15, 16, 17? He said, yeah, I believe that. But I don't see anywhere in there it says you got to do it in 2 weeks. He said, let me tell you. He said, of course, I don't know. But he said, I think probably here's what's going on. You got 1/3 of the people in this congregation that are already aggravated as they can be at you all. They know what's going on, and they don't think you're doing anything about it. And they're already aggravated, disappointed in you. You got 1/3 of the people who are their good friends and family members, and they're going to be mad as all get out if you get up and call their name Sunday morning. And then you got 1/3 of the members that don't know anything's going on, and you're going to shock the daylights out of them. With his coaching, here's what happened. The next Sunday morning, one of our elders got up and he said, as many of you know, there are 2 families that are really hurting in this congregation. We found out about it on the first day of January, and for the last month, we've worked with these 2 families, talked with them in one way or another every day. Young lady's family were members of the Baptist church, but they didn't approve what she was doing. We talked with them. We just tried every way in the world to persuade and encourage. And so if you know these people, please contact them. Everybody pray for them. Well, what's her name? Didn't tell. What does that do? It lets the folks know who thought we wasn't doing anything. Yeah, we've been working on it for 31 days. It lets the people who didn't know anything was going on, man, that must be pretty serious for an elder to get in the pulpit and say something like that. So about 2 or 3 weeks went in, they got back again and said, as many of you know, we're concerned about John and Mary. And we'd like to have a meeting tonight in the fellowship room right before evening services. Meet at 6 o'clock. We'll be through by 6:30. We'd like to talk to you. And so the room was full. We didn't talk about them. We said, here is what we've been doing, and we hadn't done the good that we would like to. But we know that you love them too. We'd like for you in the next 2 weeks, if you know them, visit with them. If you can't do that, write a letter. If you can't do that, give them a phone call. Do anything you can. And if you know anything we need to be doing that we hadn't been doing, please contact us. We appreciate it. 2 weeks went by and we met again. And they had a form filled out, a little 8.5 by 11 they passed out. Because of our love for John and Mary and because of the interaction we've had for them, here's what we recommend for their soul's benefit. And everybody filled that out. The elders sat down and read it, and they said, every person here has said that you don't know anything we can do except withdraw fellowship from them. We tried, and you tried, and they hadn't shown any repentance. And we will be announcing that and asking people to do that in our services tonight. Bottom up instead of top down. Tell it to church. Let the church get involved. See if you do it without that. Well, I think I could have done something. I didn't know y'all was going to do something like that. No, let's be involved in the whole process. Okay, we want to give an illustration. We've had a movie, and now we want to have some live people. Steve Anderson, Fletcher Cathy, Jacob Pollard, Mike Wiles, and Thomas Wilson, if you'll come up here. Okay, gentlemen. What I have done is written you a letter to tell you, and if I could, we'd give it to everyone, but that'd be a whole lot. And I didn't have that much toner and my laser printer. I want you to read this letter, and it'll tell you what you can do to promote peace in this congregation. If you would hand those to him, please. Okay, you open those and read them. Are you going to open somebody else's? Does that have your name on it?
No.
Okay, is that what you do when you get a letter? Do you open, see?
I tried and Kyle said no.
Just doing what the preacher said. I mean, come on.
You tell the Lord that on the day of judgment and see how that works. See, when you get a letter that has somebody else's name on it in your mailbox, you say, man, there better be some money in there. I think I'll look. What do you do with it? What do you do with it? Why don't you deliver it to the right person? Okay, now would you pull the letter out and see what it says? What's the matter? What's going on? What are y'all doing? What happened? What happened?
Wrong letter.
Oh, you mean I put them in the wrong envelope? So y'all not going to read other people's mail? Okay, would you read that letter, please?
When mine says it's from Solomon, is that?
Well, Solomon's.
No. Solomon wrote, fire goes out without wood and quarrels disappear when gossip stops, from Proverbs 26:20. Some things you can do to promote peace in the Church Street Church is do all you can do to get mail delivered to the correct person and don't read other people's mail.
That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Be sure mail gets delivered to the right person, and don't read other people's mail. It'll kill the church. Where there's no wood, the fire goes out. Where there's no talebearer, contention ceases. Kirby Walker was a dentist in Jackson, Mississippi for 30 years. While I was preaching at College Side in Cookville, he visited a time or two, and we got to be buddies. And he told me he really loved being a dentist. He said, I love helping people. Give everybody a copy of these two while I'm telling this last story here. These are the two things that I read to you. That's just for your reference. He said, I love helping people remove the pain and help their teeth be better. But he said, I hate dealing with conflict in the office. He said, we got people just stay at each other all the time. Said, I hate it. He was having lunch with a professor that he had in college. And the professor said, I have a psychologist friend. I think he can help you. And Kirby says, let me know. So he went to this man. He told him what was going on. He said, I think I can help you. And he said, how much does it cost? He said, $2,000. He said, man, it's a deal. When can we get started? And so he started coming to staff meetings on Friday. And there were two ladies who would add each other all the time. They were recruiting other office staff to get on their side, get on my side. And so he said, okay, we got some new rules here. Where's our rule lady? We got a lady that really likes rules. Anyhow, he said, if anybody has an issue with somebody else, go out for lunch, discuss your issue, and then bring back the receipt and you'll be reimbursed for lunch. If that settles it, that's fine. So, understand you two are the ones that have the issue. And so they went and they came back the next week and they said, y'all go out to lunch? Yes, we did. Did you get it settled? No, we didn't hardly get it settled. Okay, why don't you tell us what's going on? Only 4, 5, 6 people in the office. Tell us what's going on. They told them. So they made some suggestions. They said, okay, work on that for a week and see if these suggestions work. and you come back next week and tell us, he came back the next week. He said, now Mr. Walker is not in on this. He's not involved in the whole thing, so you can't go to him. Y'all gonna work it out among yourselves. So the next week they came back, they said, did you get it worked out? And they said, no, we didn't. He said, okay, here's what we're gonna do next week. Y'all try to work it out between this week and next week. And next week we're going to hand out a piece of paper, and we're going to let the people, now Mr. Walker can't participate, but we're going to let the people say which one needs to leave for us to have peace in this office, or do both of them need to leave? And he said that's when the women started crying. And they came back the next week, and these two ladies said we hadn't been able to settle it, and so they wrote it down, and they said this lady needs to leave. He said, as far as I know, that's the last time we ever had any conflict in our office. He said, maybe they went out to eat. I never knew anything about it, but we didn't have any more trouble. That sounds a lot like Matthew 18, 15, 16, and 17. It'll work in the dentist office. It'll work at Church Street. It'll work at Timbuktu or Kalamazoo or anywhere else that you hear. Here's the way Jesus says we can have peace. That'll eliminate conflict in a group. Church, family, business, softball team. Thank you very much.